So the game today in question, is a little title from Square Enix. We're gonna be taking a look at the high def remake of Secret of Mana. So Secret of Mana is a game that came out in 1993, as you can clearly 1990 see, and it's been remade. Came out like last week. So far, the title screen is a little underwhelming. It's the original title font, which I gotta say, I hate this font. I hate it. There's the title screen. Okay, hi. Hello, title screen. So we're getting the cinematic banner. We're getting the slow scroll up the poster art. We're gonna let this is the animated part of the title screen. It's teaching us about some fantasy shit, right? We're looking for a hero, wield the sword of legend, Excalibur, Kusanagi. The blade has many names. Here we go. We get an animated flamingos. So this is games, or storks, pink storks maybe. Sword of Mana, real important. Star Wars style intro, right? So this title screen has kind of a this would be where like a cutscene might be if this were a modern game, but they've chosen to repurpose the box art from Secret of Mana and animate some of it. It's that Incredible Hulk style of animation where it's like 2 or 3 frames of animation, but using still images. So we're going to talk a little bit about this screen. I'm going to go ahead and pop up the actual title screen. So let's start with the font, which I do not like at all. But I will say that that's because my aesthetic has developed somewhat since 1992, 93, right? This is a very 90s font. This is the kind of font you would expect someone to choose for a video game title in the 90s. It fits very much into its milieu. It is a product of the zeitgeist. The reasons that I don't like this font, purely from a design perspective, someone who like actually cares about the way letters look when you assemble them, that F can just directly just go away and never come back. I hate it to death. It's disgusting. Like look at it. Like let's just take a second. So let's take just a look at the F, and then we'll extend out into the larger font. So it looks like kind of like a scimitar or something, but not enough to really jump out and be like, this is a sword. It has that kind of like lumpy end bit at the top that looks like it's been squished. Like I bet you this font would look good if you gave it 20 to 30% more space on either side, like dragged it out a little bit. Maybe I'll take a screenshot and post on Twitter. This is what the font would look like if it was stretched out a little bit. The crossbar on the F looks like complete garbage. The fact that it's squared, but also triangular on the other side, but they don't match up on the top. They're not the same width. The bottom part is okay. It dips pretty low, but I'm okay with that. I quite like really like divergent character sizes. Like I like the M and the S. I like how big they are. Let's talk about kerning. The kerning sucks on this. The kerning sucks so bad. So kerning is the space. It's a lot more than this, but kerning is the space between the letters in the font. So the kerning on this is all over the damn place. Look at how in the word secret, the R and the E are just like making sweet love, but the R and the C are further apart, right? The kerning in mana seems to be much broader, even though if you look down at the bottom, the font, the title has been given a boundary, a barrier around it, this bluish black color, and it all kind of bleeds together, but not enough to seem intentional. Because look at the T on secret. The T and the E don't touch the way that the M, the A, and the N all touch in mana. It's hideous. It's totally hideous. The other thing that bugs me about this is look at the M, okay? So let's take a quick look at the M. The shape of the M is fine, whatever. It's not a great, interesting, like, M, right? The serifs are kind of goofy at the top. Look at the way the color bleeds. It looks like a bad tattoo on a very pale person. I'm thinking about the spikes on the inside of the M. See how it's not clear where the, like, white and the blue separate? The interior arch of the M is all like bleeding through and gross. I hate it. And it's like kind of green in places too at the border. You can see it because the M has so much white space. Ugh, it's gross. totally grody. The font can just go away. And then they tack the register trademark on the end, which I hate. I hate when like a title, a trademark should be allowed to stand beautifully on its own. Corporate logos that throw in a register trademark or a TM or whatever always gross me out. But yeah, the aliasing is bad. The font this title looks like its aspect ratio is wrong. It's a real shame. Now I do love the background. I love this art. I feel like, and I'm just guessing, I don't know for sure. It feels like a Yoshitaka Amano. It either is one or like leans into that style really hard. That kind of borderless, like no black. You'll notice that the darkest colors are just like a dark green. There's no blacks on here. Very green, extremely verdant, and not a lot of variation in the green either, right? Like it's not a vast spectra of green colors. It's quite muted. It's quite flat and faded, which I really like about it. Not necessarily as an indication of like a good title screen, but visually as a piece of art. It reminds me of like early Miyazaki kind of promotional art, like poster art, which I think is quite cool. The characters give us a sense of scope, right? These little dudes right here give us a sense of scope. We know that there is a character with spiky hair and a sword. So this is a Japanese game, probably a protagonist, right? They stand out because they're pink and they're blue and they're yellow. They're all the colors the rest of the screen does not have. So it gives us our protagonist. We get the spiky sword guy, which obviously Japanese role-playing game from the 90s. That's the thing. Whatever that pink plant is down at the bottom, the thing in the middle, I know what it is. Like I know that character. But if I were just to look at it, I'd be like, what is that thing? Who even is this creature? And then there's this kind of Jasmine looking hammer pants girl next to her, which if you look real closely, you can make out she's got a clearly defined butt, which feels a little weird to me. So yeah, right. It's like male protagonist, female protagonist, and then goofy animal sidekick creature, right? This is the Slimer of the group. So it is cool. It is cool that she's over here. That we've got these protagonists. It gives a sense of scale. You might not notice at first because the colors are so blended, but they're standing in front of a giant ass tree. So there's this enormous tree in the middle of the thing, but because we're only looking at the bottom of the tree, we can't make out the detail of it, which is cool. It blends into that verdancy in a way that we wouldn't see before. I also really like how the farther off to the other side of the screen we get, the more obvious like painting this is. You can see individual brush strokes. Like this looks like it might have been computer painted. Though I can't say for sure. But if you look over there, those look like, I'm thinking the kind of roundish fronds over in the corner, they really look like clear individual hand-drawn like strokes. Same with the leaves. They look like individual strokes of a Photoshop brush, something like that. Yeah, I don't hate the painting. I don't think it tells us too much about the game, but I do think that's why they put in that crawl, right? Even though the crawl itself wasn't super informal or informative, it does tell us a little bit more. I always feel like voiceovers and crawls, and this is funny because I love Star Wars and I love Blade Runner, but I always feel like voiceovers and crawls are like a crutch. If you're scared, people aren't going to understand what your game or movie are about. They're a way to be like, and then I explained to you exactly what was going on so that you knew when you started the game what was happening. So yeah, I mean, I don't know. I kind of would prefer just saying like, here is a thing. Like here is the game. It's a little unusual, a little strange, a little interesting. You don't really know what's going on. But then also stamped on top of it is this fucking hideous Secret of Mana title. It's a huge turnoff, but that's how it goes. As for the rest of the menu, new game, load game, options, pretty standard stuff. It's very thin, very straightforward. They've highlighted it with the shadow bar, then double highlighted it with this weird orange color, which I guess really stands out. It's the only use of this color anywhere on the screen. The only thing closest to it is her hair, or mine. But what's really funny is I love when games do this, when they give you controller instructive text that now at this late age in the game, like no shit. Like no shit up and down move the menu. Like no shit X. Like X is okay, sure. I get why they would include that, but it is funny seeing those things. I feel like it kludges up the screen, but this is relatively subtle, so you don't really need it. People would figure that out, but it's fine. We're gonna go ahead and start a new game. We're gonna play through Secret of Mana, starring Chrono, Pink Slimer, and White Jasmine. And we'll see how this HD remake stands up against the original.